actually went to lots of different schools because we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So we lived in lots of different towns and what have you, and I went to lots of different schools. And my favourite subject was probably English, I reckon. I'm actually the boss at Ecologist, so I run an ecological consultancy based in Lismore. The company, in essence, has three sort of divisions, in quotation marks, namely an ecological survey and assessment division, a feral animal monitoring and control division, and we also have a detection dog division. But all of those kind of feed into each other depending on projects and circumstances, and they all sort of hinge and work off each other. Because our work is field-based, we tend to start early, especially if we're working with the detection dogs, because you want to avoid the heat of the day. If we're working with the dogs, depending on where the site is, it's not unusual for us to be up an hour or so before sunrise to travel to site and then be ready to start survey at first light, because you've really got this huge preoccupation with beating the heat to be as kind as you can and as effective in your work and as kind as you can be with the dogs. Otherwise, because I'm in charge, I guess my phone typically starts ringing about 7 or 7:30 as our feral animal guys, hit the field, and they might have certain questions and what have you. So the phone kind of starts pretty early typically. When we don't have field surveys, I typically head to the office about 8:30. We have a downtown office in Lismore, and I go in about 8:30, touch bases with the ecology team and start working on my work budgets and project planning and producing reports and what have you. When you think of agricultural industries and what have you, typically would probably think of an ecological consultancy like ours. But our work is all about, minimising, helping the various program managers and clients minimise their impacts on the natural environment. So in that regard, if the natural environment's in a good state, it helps agriculture, obviously, because it's all part of the same big system. And also, obviously, we have these detection dogs that work on yellow crazy and red imported fire ant in finding, identifying, where they exist so they can be treated and what have you. And obviously both of those species, and particularly probably red imported fire ant, have huge impacts on agriculture. We do use a bit of tech in our company. We're kind of, for an ecology firm, we're a bit tech driven. So it's changed the way we do things in that it's taken a lot of the labour and time out of a number of projects for us. So we use night vision and thermal gear for feral animal control, but we use similar gear for our fauna monitoring, microbats in culverts and caves and under bridges and what have you. We use thermal stuff for that. We use fancy electronic recorders for koala monitoring and monitoring for all kinds of fauna species actually. And we use pretty sophisticated bat detectors, microbat detectors that detect the echolocation call of microbats. So yeah, that's how we use technology to go about our business. And a detection dog job, say it's for koalas, rather than having a team of people out in the field searching for koala scat and that kind of thing, we can have one person with one dog maybe doing the same work and perhaps doing it more effectively even. To be honest with you, what surprises me these days about it is that where you end up in terms of the diversity of projects and things that you're involved with. That's been really interesting. I didn't realise maybe when I was younger that you could end up doing work with dogs and that kind of thing, and all this feral animal control stuff, tech driven and what have you. So Yeah, the dogs it's really amazing working with dogs like that to do your ecological work. It's very sort of, it's a bit unusual and there's not a lot of companies do it. It's very rewarding and you get to work with these amazing animals and it's really great. I think that's one of the big things about where you can end up, where you can steer your ship. I think good communication is just a massive skill. If you're a good communicator, you're going to go a long way. You might not be the world's best ecologist and you might not be the world's best feral animal officer. You might not be the world's best detection dog handler, but it doesn't matter if you're a really good communicator. It doesn't matter if you're not so great at those other things. You'll kind of come up out on top if you can communicate well. And alongside that, I think, you know, if you want to be successful in your given career and be successful in business, you've got to be prepared to work really hard. Nothing comes for free, and it's all about hard work and being really driven. Yeah, I think this is probably typical of young people in most industries, is to get the initial experience, so to get on board with a company like ours where you can sort of start building up experience, because a lot of jobs that you see advertised, they rarely say, oh, someone fresh out of uni thinks and who doesn't have any experience at this, that, and the other. They always are looking for experienced people, so getting that initial experience, getting your foot in the door. I talk to the younger guys, so I have younger people working for us, and I was talking to Laura and Sarah and they were saying just the lack of that junior roles by definition, where you can come in as a junior and maybe the employer has more junior expectations. Nice hiking boots, whether I'm in the field or in the office. So I guess I managed to, like, being in charge, you'd think that a guy like me might wear my hiking boots for the field-based surveys and some more fancy shoes for in the office and the client liaison side of things. But in this sort of day and age, I can get away with just wearing my hiking boots pretty much everywhere I go.